of Hammurabi, Ancient Laws for an Ancient Empire. In the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, over 3,700 years ago, one of the most important legal documents in human history was created, the Code of Hammurabi. Inscribed on a black basalt stele, this code represented not only a complex system of laws, but also a remarkable testament to Babylonian society. Exploring the origins, content, and influence of this ancient code of laws reveals much about how people lived in ancient Babylon, their beliefs, and how they administered justice. Chapter 1. The Origins of the Code of Hammurabi. From Mesopotamia to Babylon, the rise of Hammurabi. In ancient Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, lay the Babylonian civilization with its capital at Babylon. In 1792 BC, Hammurabi ascended to the throne, destined to become one of antiquity's most celebrated rulers. Hammurabi inherited a prosperous kingdom, but significantly expanded his empire's borders during his reign, elevating Babylon to one of the most powerful cities of its time. Hammurabi's rise coincided with a period of intense political and social changes in Mesopotamia. He was an astute diplomat and a strategic military commander, but what distinguished him most was his ability to govern with justice and order. He understood that maintaining stability in such a vast and diverse empire required a unified legal system that could be uniformly applied throughout the kingdom. The historical context: Babylonian civilization. Hammurabi's Babylon was a flourishing city-state characterized by a complex social structure and an advanced economy. Agriculture was the backbone of the economy, supported by a sophisticated irrigation system that allowed the cultivation of vast tracts of fertile land. Babylonian society was highly stratified, with a clear division between nobles, common citizens, and slaves. Commerce was equally vital, and Babylon was strategically located along major trade routes between the Persian Gulf and the Mediterranean. This favorable position facilitated the exchange of goods and ideas, further enriching Babylonian culture and economy. Religion played a central role in Babylonian life, with the Temple of Marduk in Babylon serving as a religious and political center. Babylonians believed that the king was chosen by the gods and ruled by divine will. This connection between religion and governance was reflected in the Code of Hammurabi, which often invoked the god's will to legitimize the laws. Chapter 2. The content of the Code of Hammurabi. Structure and composition of the Code. The Code of Hammurabi comprises 282 laws, organized into sections covering various aspects of daily life and the administration of justice. The black basalt stele that contains the code is over 2 meters high, and at its top, Hammurabi is depicted receiving the laws from the god of justice, Shamash. This symbolic representation underscores the divine origin and sanctity of the laws. The laws are written in Akkadian, the diplomatic language of the time, and are drafted in a clear and concise manner. Each law follows a formula that presents a hypothetical situation, followed by the corresponding penalty or compensation, ensuring a uniform understanding of the rules by all citizens. Laws and regulations, justice and punishments. The laws of the Code of Hammurabi cover a wide range of topics, from property rights and commercial transactions to marriages and divorces, and punishments for crimes. Penalties were often severe and followed the principle of retribution: an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. However, the code also recognized the need to protect the weaker members of society, such as widows and orphans, and established precise rules to ensure justice and fairness. For example, one law states, if a man breaks another man's bone, his bone shall be broken. This principle of reciprocity was intended to deter violence and promote a more peaceful society. However, the severity of punishments varied depending on the social status of the offender and the victim, reflecting Babylonian social stratification. Laws on commerce and economy. A significant portion of the code was dedicated to commercial activities and economic transactions. The laws regulated labor contracts, debt repayment, trade of goods and services, and established standards for weights and measures. For instance, one law stipulated that if a builder constructs a house that collapses and kills the owner, the builder himself would be put to death. This law not only reflected the severity of punishments, but also emphasized the importance of professional responsibility. Moreover, the code included laws for regulating loans and interest, preventing excessive usury, and protecting debtors from abuse. This helped create a stable and predictable economic environment, essential for the kingdom's prosperity. Family and state laws. Family laws were equally detailed. They regulated marriage, dowry, the rights and duties of spouses, adoptions, and inheritances. For example, one law stated that if a man divorces his wife without just cause, he must return her dowry and pay compensation. These laws aimed to protect women's rights and ensure family stability. Additionally, the code established norms for the administration of justice, defining the role of judges and the legal procedures to follow in courts. The laws ensured that trials were fair and that sentences were executed with rigor. This well-structured legal system was crucial for maintaining order and social cohesion within Hammurabi's vast empire. Chapter 3: The Influence and Legacy of the Code of Hammurabi. A model of justice, the code's influence in the ancient world. The Code of Hammurabi was not merely a set of laws, but a model of justice that inspired many other ancient civilizations. Its influences can be traced in subsequent Near Eastern legal codes, such as the Code of Lipit Ishtar and the Code of Eshnunna, and even in the Hebrew laws of the Bible. For example, the famous law of retribution is echoed in the Torah and legal texts of other ancient civilizations. These subsequent codes adopted many of the legal principles introduced by Hammurabi, such as professional responsibility, protection of the weak, and regulation of economic activities. Additionally, the concept of written law, accessible to all citizens, was an innovation that had a lasting impact on jurisprudence. The Code of Hammurabi and modern jurisprudence. Even though the specific laws of the Code of Hammurabi are no longer applicable, its principles have had a lasting impact on modern jurisprudence. The concept of written and accessible law, the separation of legislative and judicial powers, and the idea of fairness and protection of the weak are all legacies that resonate in contemporary legal systems. The Code of Hammurabi has been studied and analyzed by jurists and historians who recognize its importance as a precursor to modern constitutions and legal codes. For instance, the principle of innocent until proven guilty, although not explicitly stated in the code, is implied in many of its procedural laws. The discovery and study of the Code of Hammurabi. The Code of Hammurabi was rediscovered in 1901 by French archaeologist Jacques de Morgan during an excavation at Susa, in present-day Iran. The discovery of the Stele was a sensational event in the world of archaeology, providing an unprecedented window into Babylonian civilization and ancient law. Since then, the stele has been studied and analyzed by numerous historians and archaeologists, revealing valuable information about Babylonian society and the evolution of law. The stele is now displayed in the Louvre Museum in Paris, where it continues to be admired and studied. The inscriptions have been translated into many languages, allowing scholars worldwide to access its content. The Code of Hammurabi in the academic world. The Code of Hammurabi has become a fundamental topic of study in the fields of archaeology, ancient history, and jurisprudence. Researchers have examined the laws to better understand Babylonian social, economic, and political structure. Comparative analyses with other ancient legal codes have traced the evolution of law and legal practices in the ancient Near East. Moreover, the Code of Hammurabi has stimulated debates on issues such as justice, equality, and human rights. Scholars have discussed the ethical implications of Hammurabi's laws and their significance in different historical and cultural contexts. Chapter 4. Detailed analysis of specific laws. Laws pertaining to property and trade. The Code of Hammurabi contains numerous laws designed to regulate property and trade, reflecting the importance of commerce in Babylonian society. These laws addressed issues such as property disputes, theft, and fraud. For instance, if a person was caught stealing from a temple or palace, the penalty was death, reflecting the seriousness with which such crimes were viewed. The code also dealt with the leasing of land and the terms of agricultural contracts. Farmers who leased land were responsible for ensuring its productivity and for paying their landlords a portion of the harvest. If the land was not productive, the tenant could face severe penalties, demonstrating the emphasis placed on agricultural output. Family law, marriage, inheritance, and adoption. Family law in the Code of Hammurabi was designed to ensure the stability and continuity of family units. Marriage contracts were detailed, specifying the duties and obligations of both spouses. For example, if a wife was found to be at fault in a dispute, she could be sent back to her father's house without her dowry. Conversely, if a husband was at fault, he had to compensate his wife and return her dowry. Inheritance laws ensured that property was distributed fairly among family members, with particular provisions for the protection of widows and orphans. Adoptions were also regulated to ensure that adopted children were treated fairly and had the same rights as biological children. Criminal law and punishment. The criminal laws in the Code of Hammurabi were some of the most stringent, with severe penalties for crimes such as murder, assault, and theft. The principle of lex talionis, or the law of retaliation, was a cornerstone of Babylonian justice. This meant that punishments were often harsh and intended to deter future offenses. However, the code also included provisions for mitigating circumstances and allowed for fines or other forms of compensation in place of corporal punishment in certain cases. This flexibility indicates a nuanced understanding of justice that took into account the context of each crime. Chapter 5. The enduring legacy of the code. The code's influence on later legal systems. The Code of Hammurabi had a profound impact on subsequent legal systems in the ancient world. Its principles can be seen in the legal traditions of the Hittites, Assyrians, and Persians. Many of the concepts introduced by Hammurabi, such as the need for written laws and the protection of the vulnerable, were adopted and adapted by these cultures. In the broader context of legal history, the Code of Hammurabi represents a significant step in the development of the rule of law. By establishing a written code that was accessible to all, Hammurabi laid the groundwork for the legal systems that followed. The code's relevance today. The principles of justice, fairness, and protection of the vulnerable that underpin the Code of Hammurabi continue to resonate in modern legal systems. The code's emphasis on written laws and the accessibility of legal rules are foundational concepts in contemporary jurisprudence. Moreover, the Code of Hammurabi serves as a reminder of the enduring human quest for justice and the importance of laws in regulating society. Its legacy is a testament to the ingenuity and wisdom of ancient civilizations and their contributions to the development of modern legal thought. Thus, the Code of Hammurabi stands as a monumental achievement in the history of law and governance. Its detailed regulations and profound understanding of justice provide a window into the complexities of ancient Babylonian society. By examining this ancient legal document, we gain insight into the values, challenges, and innovations of a civilization that has profoundly influenced the course of human history. The Code of Hammurabi remains a symbol of the enduring power of law to shape societies and the timeless pursuit of justice by humankind. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you made it this far, please leave a like or a comment with your opinion on the topic, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel to support our work. Thanks for watching.